And this life work balance approach really requires wisdom. Um, it requires that wisdom to be operating from that place of kind of that knowing, being grounded in the fragility of life, in realizing what's important to you and not being willing to sacrifice it. um it's also a more proactive and purposeful way of living, because it is forcing you to say what is important in my life, and what do I want to make sure that I prioritize. So it's this perspective is actually a way to like really think about your whole life and what's important to you. It also requires this like deep respect for your time, realizing that you have a finite amount of time, and not wanting to waste it with that busy work. Um, and then knowing that this perspective makes you a better worker and a better human. So just realizing that, hey, if I practice real life work balance, I'm somebody who is going to show up better for my colleagues. I'm going to show up better for my boss. I'm going to show up better for my employees as a leader. And as a result, I'm a better human because I feel, I'm not as stressed because I took care of my family when I knew I needed to, or I am taking care of my body. So I just like feel better. And that's what enables us to just be better people, by having that like authentic balance in our lives. And it also requires the wisdom of knowing that it is the source of real performance and empowerment. Um, because when we're totally out of balance, when work is at the front and center, and we start to feel like those other areas of our life are kind of falling to the wayside and not getting the attention that they deserve, we start to feel depleted. We start to feel disempowered, like we're not in the driver's seat of our lives, like things are kind of falling apart, or maybe we know that we have a relationship that's not getting the attention that it needs. All of that starts to diminish our sense of empowerment, and therefore diminishes our um, diminishes our performance. So again, this idea of life work balance is really it's really a wise way of thinking about and approaching your work and your life. So you have to basically innately know that spending time in the other parts of your life that give you energy, that make you feel alive, and this enables you to put your best foot forward, making you kind of the CEO of your life, is the way that I like to say it. So what does this actually look like in reality when you have a life work balance, um, from that time that you wake up to the time you go to sleep? Well, the basic elements of a well-balanced day, first of all, like if we just, so in terms of your work, what does your work look like? It looks like working actually very specific set of hours, and doing your best not to go outside of that. Maybe sometimes there's exceptions if you have like a deadline that you're trying to meet or something, but really choosing those hours intentionally and whatever works for you and your team, or your boss or manager. It means really relentlessly tackling priorities, not letting other things come in the way of those priorities. Tackling the priorities always give you a sense of kind of peace and clarity, like once they're done. It also means having strategic time built into your work week where you're undistracted, and where you're really focused on those priorities. It means properly ending the workday, whether that means like closing your laptop and putting it somewhere where you're not going to go and check it again, or leaving your at home office, or leaving, but truly ending the workday and not being dragged back into your emails. Um, Strategic blocks during, oh, that one I already covered, sorry. Then limiting the number of meetings. Meetings I think are kind of at the core of the vicious cycle of working too many hours, because when we get too many meetings on our calendar, that creates many, many follow-ups and more to-dos, which then just get us into this cycle. So having a limited number of meetings and being really strategic about what meetings you have helps to keep work, kind of in balance. Now, in terms of the life side of it, it means that we're waking up well rested, avoiding emails until we really sit at our desk during those specific hours, having some time to like connect with loved ones in the morning, and however that means to you. And later in the day, it might mean having a reasonable dinner time hour, and an unrushed dinner time. I think it's kind of sad that we've gotten to this point, where like people are just working, 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 and then the only time like that we're spending with our kids is maybe during a super rushed dinner time and then rushing them off to sleep. So really having that time to, connect with your family during those hours and not rushing that time with them. And then having the proper time to wind down at the end of the day, not checking email before bed, and going to sleep truly feeling at ease. And that not checking the email one is so important because um, as soon as you check email at night, I think everybody probably knows you're now re-triggering all the things that you need to do. You're creating stress in your body. And if you don't have the capacity to truly respond properly, then it creates even more anxiety. So I'm a huge believer at not checking email before bed, and ideally really leaving work at your desk at the end of your work day.